on the coast.
Tonight, the flood reconstruction takes on a new dimension in the Northern Rivers. An incredible whale and dolphin interaction captured off Port Macquarie.
I'm Daniel Gibson. Later on this news hour, the big supermarkets to face multi-billion-dollar fines for misleading suppliers, and dozens gunned down in a suspected terror attack in Russia.
7 News begins now.
Good evening. Flood reconstruction in Lismore is taking on a new direction tonight. The relocation process is now ramping up, but dozens of residents who lived on the floodplains are looking to move their homes to new plots of land rather than build a new house. Elise Holden got a first-hand look at the process today. And Elise,
first crews stabilised the home on 2 trucks before... Nick, for a small home, it can take anywhere between 2 to 3 days to move. First crews stabilised the home on 2 trucks before removing stumps, cutting it in half and then driving it to its new location. A 2-year wait to move his dream home away from the floodplain. North Lismore resident Hamish Webster received a buyback after the floods hit.
as you can see where the water got to at the back there, well above the stove.
He fought to stay in his premises until he found suitable land to move to, a difficult process from beginning to end.
That took quite a long time. That was some months of, liaising.
Hamish managed to buy a block of land in Nimbin with the money he received from his buyback.
It really dawned on me after the flood to have a home that's just safe.
But instead of building a new house, he decided to take his North Lismore one with him.
But around $100,000 just to get it from A to B, and that doesn't include the cost of reconnecting to electricity, to water.
He says it was now or never.
I just didn't have a great degree of faith that the resilient lands were going to come through in any sort of timely way.
Hamish is the 4th person to relocate his home.
So today we've got the trailers under. We're about to split the house in half in probably the next couple of hours. Had to drop the roof, obviously, for height restrictions.
Mackay and Sons House Removal have 32 more on the books.
Locals, obviously they've lived in a lot of these houses for a lot of years, and then cutting it in half and moving it is a big process for them. But at the other end, when it's back together, it's kind of like a sigh of relief for them.
Elise Holden, 7 News.
A P-plater remains in hospital tonight after another serious crash in Coffs Harbour's CBD. Traffic was shut down in both directions as emergency services worked to free the young driver.
The young female driver of this Mitsubishi Lancer lost control in the wet, mounting the curb, launching the vehicle and slamming it sideways into a tree, trapping her behind the wheel.
Yeah, it was a very technical extraction, very confined area. With the vehicle, there was a lot of impediment from the tree into the vehicle.
Emergency services shutting down highway traffic in both directions, racing against time to free the badly injured P-plater.
A lot of hydraulics had to be used to push and shove the metal, and some series of cuts and relief cuts to release pressure and create space.
The Coffs Harbour 20-year-old suffering multiple fractures and internal injuries.
She was conveyed to Coffs Harbour Hospital with serious injuries, and she's currently undergoing treatment.
This latest crash scene is on the same bend as a major truck smash from several weeks ago, supporting claims that this is fast becoming a very dangerous stretch. The dangerous goods truck slamming into the front wall of the Coast Hotel before jackknifing, spearing across the highway and ploughing into CBD shop fronts.
Yeah, we do see accidents and near misses all the time. It's very tight for the volume of traffic that has to come through here.
Cars go so fast around it, and it's just a huge bend, so just waiting to happen.
The camber of the old stretch of highway creating a danger zone, especially for large vehicles travelling at speed.
It's definitely dodgy, yeah. If you follow a truck through, you can see them sort of lean heavily one way and then lean heavily the other way as they go around the corner.
Police urging caution.
So we do have a high number of collisions. I would warn drivers they need to drive to the conditions at all time, not just think of the speed limit, but think about the conditions as well.
The P-plater remains in a serious but stable condition. Liz Penny, 7 News.
Well, farmers are welcoming a new report that could see supermarkets fined for mistreating their suppliers. A grocery code of conduct is recommended to help regulate pricing, but farmers all agree much more still needs to be done.
Whether it's a bag of apples or a bottle of milk, farmers and consumers want a fair go at the checkout.
We want to make sure that we're getting good value for our milk. The consumer wants to make sure they're not getting ripped off when they buy their milk.
A lack of competitive pricing has left many suppliers isolated. The federal government today confirming this will soon be a feeling of the past, expected to impose a mandatory behaviour code for supermarkets, focusing on how they treat their suppliers, with fines of up to $10 million at stake for any breaches.
If it's more competitive, if it's more transparent, if people are getting a fairer go, then we'll see better outcomes for people at the supermarket checkout.
Manning Valley Dairy say they've watched the decline of the industry. This reform will keep them competitive and their farmers on the ground.
Last thing we want to see is no milk on the supermarket shelves because dairy farms have gone out of the industry.
While these changes help all farmers, they're most significant to those in the dairy and horticulture industries, as beef farmers are already seeing competitive pricing due to international demand.
Because 60% of our product is exported, there is international competition for the meat, and so the supermarkets actually need to meet that price, because otherwise we would sell our meat to elsewhere.
Peak farming bodies have welcomed the decision, but they say more still needs to be done, wanting to see the code extended beyond supermarkets.
Unfortunately, it actually should be like economy-wide, really, with what we're seeing with the supermarkets. It's happening with fuel, it's happening with electricity, it's happening across the board.
Hannah Hartup, 7 News.
Police numbers have been boosted on the Coffs Clarence with the largest intake of new young constables. An extra 4 probationary officers, increasing the command's ranks to 218. The newcomers, aged between 19 to 25, began their police career today in general duties. The police commander looking for more recruits to fill upcoming vacancies, and they're offering some extra incentives to local applicants.
We're fortunate to be part of being a cop in your hometown. If people are from the area and they wish to be placed back here, this is something that they can have a conversation with our recruitment branch and work towards.
The probationary constables were assigned from the graduating class at the Goulburn Police Academy. An extra 2 officers were assigned to the Mid-North Coast District, another 1 on the Manning and 2 on the Tweed. Koala carers have been left outraged after a string of hit and runs in the Manning Valley. They're now calling for drivers and the government to do better ahead of koala breeding season.
Swaddled in blankets with a fractured arm and leg, Gary was found in a gutter near Tononi, struck by a vehicle and left to die.
We understand accidents happen. It's what you do after the accident, though, is the most important thing.
He's one of 4 koalas hit in the Manning region in the last week. 2 were rescued by koalas in care. This injured marsupial, now the only one left. Available to respond 24 hours a day, koalas in care say there's no excuse not to pick up the phone and call.
Because all they want is a safe place to live and eat.
Working in conservation for over 30 years, they say nothing has changed.
People say that they're supposed to be protected. They're an endangered species now. I don't believe that they have protection.
They're calling on all levels of government to step up and create harsher penalties, especially as koala movement increases with breeding season now underway.
Put things in place that are going to stop these car hits and dog attacks.
Mid-Coast Council have developed a draft koala conservation strategy over the last 6 months. It will be voted on at this Wednesday's council meeting, aiming to improve conservation and recovery support in the area.
Koala is threatened with extinction potentially by 2050, so we've all got to work together to deliver an improved way of managing koalas.
Hannah Hartup, 7 News.
An incredible whale interaction has been captured off the coast of Port Macquarie today. The giant mammals are coming through in massive numbers, and this weekend Orca will perform their annual whale census.
Taking time out from its northern migration. This morning, this humpback whale took a break off the Port Macquarie coast, flipping on its back and running circles around a pod of playful dolphins. Drone operator Alex McNaught says it's one of the best whale and dolphin interactions he's ever captured.
Yeah, it was in quite shallow, just off Watonga Rocks, and it was in no hurry to be the migrating whale. It was happy being a playing whale. It was going round and round in circles. There were 6 or 7 dolphins playing with it, and when they wandered off, it chased them.
The Tacking Point Lighthouse has become a hotspot for whale watchers who are almost guaranteed to witness the giant mammals.
Oh, they're gorgeous. There's so many of them. Just don't know where to look. They're putting on such a show as well. It's so exciting, and the vibe up here is incredible. And okay, I'm just watching 2 literally breach now. We've been trying not to cry. It's really, honestly, just such a beautiful thing.
Already this season, spotters have counted more than 5,000 whales off the Port Macquarie coast.
Well, we're over 3,000 whales for June already. We're averaging probably around about 300 to 400 whales a day in Port Macquarie.
This Sunday, the public is invited to get involved in Orca's annual whale census. The community asked to count marine mammals from headlands across the east coast.
So if you see a seal, dolphin, whales, what distance you're seeing whales, and all sorts of behaviour. It's a fantastic way to learn and get involved.
Samantha Crowe, 7 News.
Well, Kirstie's here now for a look at today's weather conditions. And Kirstie, not a bad day for watching whales frolic.
No, absolutely not, Nick. Beautiful clear skies out there for most of us. And that certainly followed a wet weekend along our coastline. We had around 15 millimetres fall across the weekend through Port Macquarie, around 35 millimetres further north around Coffs Harbour, while Woolgoolga picked up 33 millimetres in just the last 24 hours alone. But skies did clear this morning too, a sunny start to the new working week. Maximums reached the high teens and into the low 20s with a moderate breeze, a top of 20 degrees in Ballina today, 18 through Byron Bay, while Coolangatta on the Queensland border had that top of 22. Now, we're expecting clear skies for most of us tomorrow. A slight chance of a shower, though, for the far north and the northern rivers. We are expecting some scattered wet weather across our week. I'll have all the details for what's in store for our final week of June a little later on.
That sounds great, Kirstie. We'll see you very soon. Thank you. We're still to come in 7 News, some helpful tips to know before lodging your tax return, and a study to improve the early detection of skin cancer.
And a little later on this news hour, the manhunt for thieves who attacked an Uber driver in Sydney's West. Major supermarkets, they're on notice, threatened with billions in fines. Dozens of people shot dead in a suspected terror attack in Russia. And the arms delivery dispute between Israel and the US.
Queensland researchers are leading a study using AI technology to improve early detection of skin cancer in regional patients. The project aims to create a national targeted melanoma screening program.
It's a new project that could be the answer to improving and speeding up skin cancer imaging for regional Australians.
The machines pick up every skin spot and lesion on the body, and so this new study now is looking at using artificial intelligence algorithms to analyze those skin spots.
The project, led by the University of Queensland, has secured $3 million from the Medical Research Future Fund to begin the study in the regions. Researchers are working towards changing skin cancer rates.
Long term, what we are hoping is that we are moving towards a targeted melanoma screening program, which would involve every Australian from a certain age.
The research will be conducted at 9 regional hospital and health centres across Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria over the next 4 years.
Here in Queensland, funding will go to Mount Isa, Sunshine Coast and Cairns Hospital.
Earlier cancer is diagnosed, the better the survival outcomes.
George Backledge, 7 News.
The ATO is warning residents on the North Coast not to rush into doing their 2024 tax returns. Those who do lodge their tax in early July are twice as likely to make a mistake. And this is particularly relevant if you've got multiple sources of income.
It's important people get their tax return right the first time. And one of the ways they can get their tax return right or help get it right is to wait until our pre-fill information is available. And that's typically available by the end of July.
Most employment, banking and government details will be automatically loaded into your tax return by that time, limiting the chances of mistakes. The recreational wharf in Wingham Brush is undergoing some upgrades. It was destroyed during consecutive floods between 2020 and 2022. Mid-Coast Council had been awaiting government funding to commence the project. The upgrade is part of a $3.2 million project fixing aquatic infrastructure across the region, and it's hoped it'll also provide a boost to local fishing and tourism. Still to come in 7 News, Port Macquarie now home to a new Australian welterweight boxing champion. And Sawtell knocked off second place on North Coast football. Sawtell has fallen out of the top 2 in North Coast football after a surprise win by Boambi. The Bombers delivering their best performance of the season in a 3-goal victory.
Boambi was braced for a high-intensity clash against one of the Premier League frontrunners, the talented Sawtell squad in black and green, known for their well-drilled consistency.
They've got a really young, enthusiastic team, and they've got a system that they play.
Both sides creating numerous chances across the park.
It was a game of end-to-end football. They were both attacking. They were both penetrating the defence, both teams shooting from distance.
Then a throw-in by the Bombers was sent out to the wing. Veteran striker Brady Parker delivering a floating cross in front of goal, a header by James Meredith firing it into the back of the net. Boambi dominating the midfield and delivering the firepower for a full 90 minutes, winning the crucial 50-50 challenges.
They were first to the ball, they were really hungry. The match was won and lost in the midfield, and that's where they got most of their possession.
Everything just seemed to click from front to back.
Then centre forward Luke Franz put Sawtell back in contention 2-1. An unbelievable save by the Bombers goalie Jacob Stitch shutting down the attack. The 5-2 win fueling the Boambi Bombers' determination to continue climbing the Premier League ladder, taking on Northern Storm this Sunday.
We're starting to knock off the teams in the top 4 now, which is good, and we believe we can keep doing that for the rest of the season.
Liz Penny, 7 News.
Port Macquarie boxer Jess Messina has become the new Australian welterweight champion. Messina defeated Millie Agbogbulan in a split decision, with 2 of 3 judges scoring in her favour. It was Messina's constant pressure on her opponent that got her across the line. The boxer is expected to return home later this week. Port Macquarie's Hardy Fletcher has taken out the under-14s bodyboarding state title. The Grommet producing his second highest scoring wave of the day in the finals, an 8.17. Hardy will now go through to the national finals in Port Macquarie in August. Foster's Sonny Williams took out the under-16s and Malika Ivak won the Open Women's. Thousands of women and young girls have carved up the waves in Kingscliff for this year's Seize the Day Surfing Festival. The event is one of the largest female competitions in the world, and everything from shortboarding, longboarding and mini shredders was on display.
It's not just about surfing. It's about participation, of course, but it's also about celebration and recognition of all the things that women do both in the water and outside of the water.
The Alley Cats managed to take out the Open Women's Shortboard division with a total of 8.53 points. Byron Bay's Tallows team finished a close second, falling just 0.16 of a point behind. Still to come in 7 News, Kirstie's back and she's got your week ahead in local weather.
Good evening, everyone. A high-pressure system is keeping skies mostly clear and settled through the start of this week, but showers are on their way. Easterly winds are helping produce some wet weather over the northeast. A series of troughs are then set to cross through southern parts of the state during the second half of the week, triggering some moderate rain through southern and central districts as we head towards the weekend. And we can see that upcoming rainfall in a band of rain that is stretching from the northeast of the state right through to the southeast. Dry conditions along the mid-north coast, though, no more than around 10 to 15 millimetres over the coming week. Tomorrow we will wake to a cool start, that likely leading to some scattered morning frost, but sunny skies are heading into the afternoon with light winds blowing too. The low 20s around Nambucca Heads and Foster, both maximums of 21 degrees, but without much of a wind breeze. We're not expecting the wind chill to impact us too much. Further north, there is a chance of a late shower or two driven by those onshore winds. Byron Bay could pick up about a millimetre with a top of 20, Tweed Heads 22 degrees. On our waters tomorrow, seas reaching around 1 metre with a 4 to 5 foot swell, and our winds sitting around 10 to 20 knots. Blue skies and sunshine heading our way for the middle of our working week too, as temperatures remain in the 20s, climbing as much as 4 to 5 degrees above our June average though for the middle of the working week. Mild but light winds, settle conditions in Casino 23 degrees, much the same for Evans Head, and similar maximums through the northern rivers in Lismore. But by Thursday, showers are more likely. We could see about a millimetre of rain forecast through the mid-coast. There is also the chance of a thunderstorm too. Staying mostly dry in at the far south, but Kempsey could pick up some wet weather, and we're likely to see that drizzle heading further north as well. Around 3 to 5 millimetres for the northern rivers. We are expecting a few days of intermittent showers.
Yeah, sounds like a bit of wet weather on the way.
That's right.
Thanks, Kirstie. And that is your local news for tonight. You can always catch up on our website or at 7+. Right now, Dan has your latest national news. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And Kirstie and I will be back tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. We'll see you then.